Hello again. Um, Another weekly checkup. This week felt, specifically yesterday, felt exceedingly slow. Otherwise, it was pretty normal. Um, Again, mostly just all of it really just came from yesterday. Um, and I guess a little bit from Wednesday, but not enough to write it down. And it was mostly towards Thursday already. So, particularly. I would like to, at the very least, voice a peculiar thing I noticed. On Thursday, I felt honestly not that great. um, and on Wednesday in particular, I decided to I decided to um, break the little sleep cycle that I had going on for a bit. And uh, honestly speaking, I think this might be a bit of a side effect of me trying to do too many things at once, as well as sort of a transitionary thing. Closer I get to either doing some sort of trip or really transitioning in a bigger way by adding something entirely new. Some of the more, I guess, weaker aspects or weaker habits that I'm trying to establish kind of become broken, undone, whatever way you want to describe it. But I stopped doing them, whether it just be because I justify to myself that it'll be fine, or my mental fortitude just kind of gives up, and regardless of whatever I think, I kind of end up doing it anyway, either unconsciously or entirely consciously. It doesn't really matter. It's a pretty common, it's a pretty common thing, and it seems to happen only towards the more weak-willed of goals or habits that I wish to establish. For example, this didn't really stop me on the porn addiction thing. Like I said in previous videos, I feel like I've gotten really good at waiting, both good and bad thing. Uh, but I have gotten pretty good at waiting until it's time. So I didn't really fail on that. But for something like the sleep schedule thing that I'm more just dabbling in and kind of doing as a sort of, I guess, experiment and hobby, in quotes, hobby, experiment quite literally, it kind of just fell apart because I'm not super dedicated to it. It is a nice little goal to have, but ugh. And it really didn't help that yesterday in particular, I felt, as I wrote down here, a little sick. Not, and I don't think it came from any physical ailment or like an illness, because today I feel entirely fine. I think it was just something going on in my head. I had a lot of things going on, just thinking about a lot of stuff. Yesterday, I even did a figuring out my fears video, and that was nice. It took a load off. Naturally, something like that would take an awful lot of stress off my shoulders. I guess I'm just stressing out about a lot of stuff. Probably why I've been not necessarily feeling all too great as of recently. Um, ugh, ugh. In terms of, I guess, I guess pornography usage, like I said, it hasn't really changed much. It seems it's not really a consistent cycle, which is a little disparaging. It's it's mostly just kind of random, sporadic, heat of the moment type shit, which is both relieving and also a little saddening to see because if it were a cycle, I could tackle it properly. I could see what days I have it worst and sort of close in on those days and work towards getting towards it, but work work towards getting towards it. Work towards fortifying myself for my worst days. Unlike, say, when it's random and sporadic and sometimes is just heat of the moment, maybe not. maybe it's a thought out thing. It really just varies from every level. It's all over the fucking place. And that's not really helpful, like, at all. Obviously, it does help for the whole the data collection part as well as the how long or how much I need to restrict myself. But aside from that, it's really not that great. Um, Another note I wanted to add, I've been thinking about this too, of the how I was gonna have a sub phases for. Did I scratch myself? Oh my, I did. Did. Um, but for the subphases where instead of increasing the amount of days I stop, I instead limit the amount I can do on the days that I have. And I'm thinking of doing that alongside increasing the days because one, so far of all the data I've collected, I go up to 3 and the most is 4. So what I'm thinking of doing, since I'm already at 3 days, I'm going to do for the next one, once I have 4 days, it'll be I can do it 3 times. When I have 5 days, 2 times. When I have 6 days, 1 time. And then naturally, when I have seven, 0. I'm doing this. I'm doing this partially because now that I have the whole trying to habitualize brushing my teeth, I would like it to go a little faster because while I do want to consciously just brush my teeth on some days, it's actually getting into my head to continue doing it. I know it's only been like I think 2 weeks, maybe 3 at most. I I'm gonna have to rewatch the video in order to get a proper timing for that, but um, I know it hasn't been super long, but I would like to at least have it come along at a decent rate instead of at the super slow rate that doing the sub phases would. If it turns out to be too fast, again, I'll just have to restart, and I don't really see that as much of a bad thing. It'll, one, allow me to at least learn my lesson, fortify myself, and hell, again, failure's fine, especially since, as I tackled in the confronting or figuring out my fears video, it it allows me to spend at least a little more time with something that even if I want to get rid of, I'm still somewhat afraid of losing. So I'm trying to I'm trying to speed up one of my habits, which again, really early on, but still, I have like 3 months ahead of me. Or well, actually, this is the last month of or last week of the month, so I have more like 2 months and 1 week ahead of me of establishing this, and if it's a rousing success, if I'm able to make it properly integrate it, I would like to sort of fast track myself onto just getting that as a better habit, getting that as a concrete habit, not as a better habit, because I'm more worried about general hygiene than I am about porn addiction. I know that the addiction can uh, bring on certain habits that are less hygienic. But if I incorporate habits that are purely based towards hygiene, cleaning, and just general lifestyle changes, I'm going to be a lot less susceptible to that in the long run. Especially if this addiction pops up again, I'll have these habits to fall back on and sort of, one, maybe slow the halt or even stop it entirely. And I just see that as a far more positive thing, I guess. In I Most of this is just thought, of course. I don't, I can't exactly prove any of this, but from the way I see it, I think I think getting concrete hygiene goals would allow me to combat it more, since it was already born of a crappy lifestyle. If I'm able to put in habits, or even hell, even just be able to make myself do it on command without having to rely on habits, then immediately I'm in a better place to fight off something like that than if I just didn't have that at all. So that's currently my thought process. I might prove myself wrong in the next 2 months. I doubt it though. I have been thinking about this an awful lot, especially since the last video. So, um, it's just been on my mind, and also the failure to adhere to the starting sleep schedule part is uh, is a little bit weighing on my mind. But I'm taking it in stride, and I'm thinking about one, ways I can enforce it better, and two, how I can sort of accustomate myself to not faltering on some of the more, I guess, weak-hearted attempts at change, because I would definitely describe that as a weak-hearted one. I don't think it lasted more than like a week and a half, really. So it clearly wasn't my best effort. But I'm also incredibly scared of doing too much, which is exactly what happened on Thursday. I was doing too much. I did too much at once, and I paid the price. I felt sick, and as I wrote here, I did feel a bit empty. When I put too much on my plate, put too much into, I guess maybe I should try to learn to handle more, mentally speaking, because I do get rather overwhelmed when a lot of stuff is going on, and my brain just kind of shuts down. Maybe that's something I can't help, but I would like to think about ways to do it, um, ways to improve it, not do it. Kind of, I feel a lot more scatterbrained in this video than others, and maybe time constraints. I'm doing this way later than typical, more out of necessity, because yeah, um, that I can't do it in front of other people, and I prefer not to either. Um, uh, ugh. Oh, another thing I did want to talk about, particularly in regards to cleaning the house. I bought up the idea of doing it 2 days a week, Monday and Friday every week. One, prevents buildup. Two, it allows me to clean stuff like my computer and my desk and everything around me a lot more consistently, and hopefully do get rid of a lot of wear and tear, and overall just promote a healthier environment. Um, and I also alluded, I think a bit back, I don't remember if I mentioned this in the last one, but to getting everyone in the house, or even at the very least just my mom, on board with doing a general house cleaning where we deal with a lot of the stuff that may have been piling up. For example, the table back there, it's kind of unseeable on the camera, but over there, where the chair is near the box, near the gate, there is a pretty big dining table. And my mom, and sometimes even myself and my sister, just stack things up on it, and it kind of gets unruly. It becomes a pile that is bad. Wow, rousing commentary. But one, one, organization, two, cleanliness, and three, I don't know if there is a third. I guess ease of use, or just aesthetics. It would look better, and it would be easier to use. I use it for putting mail on the I put mail on there because everybody passes through there. That's the hall to everybody's room. Um, there's also You also just need to be able to use it as a dining room table. Sometimes, even sometimes when I'm not wanting to watch a YouTube video when I eat, or just want to sit in silence when I eat, I just kind of go to the table and boom. And it is somewhat of a neglected part of the house. I guess, in a sense, I'm trying to declutter the living room, much like I'm trying to declutter my own brain. Currently, it's not doing too well, but aside from that, I did get her on board with that. Um, I've decided that we're going to be doing it at the first weekend of every month, or at the start of every month, so that I can clean the filters out in the vacuum, so that, well, I mean, live in a desert, two dogs, they bring in a crap ton of dirt. Those filters get covered in dust way too quickly. It says to clean every 3 months. I'm in a special scenario where 3 months is way too long. So, and that just cleaning it once every month, doing the weekly thing, getting it all done, yada yada yada. I've outlined my plans pretty well, I think. I might go into a more detailed one when I actually start to enact them and improve upon them. Um, so, yippee. Yippee! I actually did one of that, and starting next month and every month afterwards, I need to do vacuuming twice a week. I particularly wanted to try other, I guess, hygiene related goals twice a week, particularly showering, because I'm a little inconsistent with that. I could pretty consistently do once a week, but twice a week is a little harder, and I discovered that twice a week is pretty good for making my hair not feel like crap. But if I have to sacrifice that for this, I am most certainly going to do it. I would much rather get the living room in general cleaned twice a week, or not even really the living room. I want to be able to do the dining room a little more thoroughly, as well as at least do a little bit of the kitchen as well. Again, more of maintenance stuff. The whole big clean at the beginning of each month or at the start of each month, first weekend, whenever. It happens within the first week of the month, is meant to actually do deeper cleaning and keep it in tip top shape. While this is mostly just maintenance to make it less, well, horrible by time we have to actually clean it at that point. So that's the whole idea. And if I have to, I will sacrifice that second shower slot. I can do it once a week at the very least. I can consistently do it once a week. I'm a lot more dedicated to cleaning the house because inadvertently it will keep me cleaner since I don't really leave very much. Not something to be proud of, I'm aware. But at the very least, there is a tangible benefit to it aside from just making the house a healthier place to live in. So that's nice. And I guess aside from that, I don't really have anything else. I'm kind of done. Not much happened aside from again Thursday, which was, ugh, yeah, Thursday did not feel great. I do not want to put too much on my plate, so I'm gonna try and focus on three things now. Three particular things. First, the vacuuming. Actually, no. First, porn addiction and teeth brushing. Those two are linked together. That's fine. Second, the vacuuming. And third, this, making videos. Everything else is tertiary. Everything else should wait until, well, I can handle more. I think three things should be good enough. And I'm gonna try and keep track of this throughout the next month and see where it goes from there. Because I'm gonna stop tracking specifically just doing chores because I don't really think that adds anything to this. But something like tracking the vacuuming days is probably gonna help a lot more because one, I have to use the journal every day, and I end up doing it every day. So why don't I have that as a bit of a reminder? I know I brought up a concern of doing it as a checklist in here, but I think my approach to using the journal in general has shifted. I'm approaching it more as a sort of data collection. I don't have to do it, but if I don't do it, I just gotta log it down. If I do it, I log it down. The goals here, definitely still a part of that whole checklist thing, but they are a bigger reminder of what I want to get done. And that's sort of the approach I'm going to be taking from now on, trying not to trying not to make this purely a checklist and instead just a reminder of what I want to do, as well as here's keeping track of everything I have. Uh, that's my current approach. Maybe it'll change, but I would still like it to be helpful outside of just tracking data. I need it to be a legitimate, like, I guess, day planner in a way. Definitely not an actual day planner. I'm not doing that. But definitely just a way of keeping me on track, sort of how these videos do. Although these ones serve a different purpose. They spur my dedication. They make me actually want to do them so that I can come here and report everything's going just fine. Good job, you're really improving. um, while the journal is more of a here's data and you can see absolutely everything. Here's how you felt. Hell, at a certain point, you can even tell when your mind sort of started shifting and have it more as a companion to these videos. So that's currently the approach I'm taking with it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to sacrifice a couple of things right now in order to be able to fully focus on these goals, but that's okay. I think that's fine. If I have to lose a couple of things at the moment, things that I just started, I can take that. As long as it allows me to, in the long run, get much better at vacuuming, um, holding on to, holding on to, holding off on like porn usage for however long I have to, as well as, um, as well as just getting these out consistently on time. Of course, these videos sometimes come from things I can't control, but for the most part, I should be able to control when I need to make them and when I can make them. It's not nearly as, I guess, mentally straining as something like having to do vacuum on a specific day, essentially putting myself on a deadline and getting getting rid of a crutch that I've been using for a while. So, yeah, hopefully hopefully it goes out the way I hope. Wow. Um, this one was pretty big. I definitely rambled a little bit, but aside from that, I will see myself next time.